Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, Total World Victory of Hare Krishna. My name is Sitapati Das. And this is Donna Davey.
Donna Davey, yep.
And we're just chilling out, having some late night supper. Not that late, it's only 8:30. But this is our reaction video to We Came Here for Freedom Part 2, or as we like to call it, our movie. We have another movie coming out soon, River of Freedom, but for tonight, we're going to look at We Came Here for Freedom Part 2. Part 1 came out, I think, 6 months ago, and this was all filmed in February of 2022. This is the New Zealand Parliament occupation, 2022, which is where we met, and we did a podcast earlier today with devotees who were there. So devotees were there from the very beginning, part of the convoy, traveled to Wellington with the convoy, and then were the last ones out at the end. Last chopper out of Vietnam. Here's the movie.
Crossed with Woodstock. And if torrential rain and the horrible winds of the weekend didn't drive them out, what is going to?
These people are unwelcome. They are interfering with the normal life of Wellingtonians. And you think it's a joke.
Hold on. When did I say I think it's a joke?
You're supporting them.
I've seen a lot of protesters in Wellington. When you live in Wellington, you kind of just get used to it. And this is the first time where I've seen them being ignored. And I think that's creating a little digging in mentality of that. Not one MP has come out.
The bigger picture here, you've got to start engaging with them. You've got to stop mocking them.
This is some of the mainstream, talk at the time about like, hey, this is what people think and what people are hearing from outside, through the mainstream, the so-called mainstream media, whatever that means these days.
And making them out to be fringe minority nutbags because they're not.
You think the police are doing a wonderful job?
They are doing a wonderful job, Dean. Do you want people hurt?
No, but I just think arrest some and then arrest some more.
Dean, start looking at it like logically. Can you
there was a devotee who was a police officer there. And I saw him there. He was on the front line. When I saw him, god brother of mine. We were on the opposite sides.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. We, of course, are on the right side of history, which I told him at the time.
Krishna.
Yeah, exactly. I said to him, I hope you've got Brahmanas chanting Hare Krishna behind your lines, because that's the right side of history. And whatever it might look like in the moment, that's the way to evaluate which is the right side, the side that has Krishna on. It doesn't matter how big the side is. It's the side that has Krishna.
You remember back to Thursday when all those arrests were happening? People were coming from all over the country.
I listened to Jacinda yesterday, and please don't get me wrong, I'm double-vaxxed, I voted for her, and I'm kind of ashamed now that I did. I can't stand what this has done to our country. You know what happens to, we're going to be the party that governs for all New Zealanders? That's not what I'm seeing. Not at all.
What kind of leadership do you want? What kind of government? Should we continue with the fear and the constant emergencies and the lockdowns and the mandates and all the rules that divide and isolate us? And shall we continue with the demonizing and censoring of anyone who disagrees with our government? Or should we try a new leadership, one that builds community?
Okay.
Oh, no.
Thank you. Yeah, I had the microphone muted. I'm going to keep the mic unmuted the whole way through.
Okay.
So I was just pointing out that this is Chaim, this gentleman here in the green, the blue, and with the sunglasses on and
And the hat.
the hat. Yeah, and he was in the kirtan a lot. He led kirtan at the 24-hour kirtan that we did later after Profest.
Mhm.
But he took me to his house and other devotees, and I took a shower there during the Profest because it was very difficult to get access to, like, as you heard from Avai Charan, showers, and took a shower and washed some of my clothes. And I had the same kind of 3 things that I was rotating.
Mm.
I actually picked them up down there. I got one from Third Eye for Nityananda's parents, and my classic rainbow top
Mhm.
and the pink dhoti.
Yeah.
So that's Chaim there, and you can see the real contrast between what the media presented as a river of filth, all kinds of extremists and everything, and I think Chaim's from Israel, and he is,
Mhm.
yeah, anti-Semitism, whatever, and lol, and then you saw the police on the other side. They're drawing the contrast, and they're asking the question, what kind of leadership do we want? What's possible in this country? Let us know if the sound is going now, please. Thank you.
It brings us together and unites us.
Says it all, really.
Mm.
Gloria ki te atu I runga rawa he maungoromo ki tono iwi rungi I te whenua. Gloria nui me te hone re te matua kaharoa I kunne ngā wahi katoa I naene ake tonu atu. Amene.
See what his t-shirt says? It says free to train, # never bow.
Mm.
And they made a whole big thing about these right-wing, being into physical fitness is like a right-wing, turns you into a right-wing extremist.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm just perplexed about the whole way of thinking and, dividing oneself. I'm the right, I'm the left, no, I'm the middle, no, I'm the ground, and on the top, It's like, why don't you just be?
Let's put the microphone here. It's going to be hanging down into the picture. What if I take this off? Hang on. It's going to be a little bit noisy for a second, folks. Bear with us. There you go. You got this cool kind of looking microphone hanging down now. And that should, according to my calculations, give a better sound from both of us.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever you say, whatever you wear is basically they are boxing you in specific labels.
Yeah.
It really annoys me that. But anyways, go ahead.
It doesn't bother me. I'm like, this is what I'm all about. And it's like, yeah, represent, brother. 100%. Right-wing extremist, whatever. Up here, just proudly speaking in Te Reo Māori. That was the way it was there. It was like a vision of the future of Aotearoa in New Zealand.
Yeah, they were the Christian group, with the
Yeah, he's from Destiny, right?
yeah, the Destiny. And I was with them as well. I met the pastor and his wife and everything they were doing.
Yeah, we saw them at a later protest march in Wellington.
Yes, with this.
Brian Tamaki,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, so here they go, the opening, and then this is the opening of the movie, and it's kind of like it moves from like the mainstream vision, talkback 1ZB with people with there's a controversy about it, into, what's really possible in our country, and what does real leadership look like, the leadership that we want. And then here it begins to open up into what this Profest was actually like, and they have captured it here.
Mhm.
This is really what it was like to be there.
Mm.
Okay, here we go. As you come in this main gate is the Hare
Look
Krishna
at what we have
temple.
created within the last 8 days, people. Set up this beautiful village, a community within a community, a city within a city, a nation within a nation, and it required no political influence, but it came from the people power and not the political power. The moment political stuff started putting in, mixing this, they will start to segregate us, separate us, and divide us. But give yourselves a round of applause for people power over political power.
If you wanted an illustration of just what it did to people. We were in this truck, and this guy.
There's Tulsi Das
Mm.
playing the mridanga here. I don't know who put the sticker on the mridanga, you know? Like, I have a feeling it was like a set, you know, like a director, because it doesn't match. If we had chosen one, I would have put vaxxed and unvaxxed standing together on there.
What does it say in this?
Have a
Who
look.
was a Wellington.
Tapuhi midwives free of fear. It's not something that I resonate with, you know? Tapuhi midwives free of fear. I didn't resonate with that. I resonated with vaxxed and unvaxxed standing together. I was like, yes, this is the way.
Yeah, I guess that I think there was a group of the midwives that had been mandated, and they created their own group there, and also all the nurses were there. So maybe that came from them.
Yeah, well, they had a bunch of these different stickers, you know, and I'm not sure where my vaxxed and unvaxxed sticker is right now. It's inside one of these books as a bookmark. When I say I don't know where it is, it's right here. Vaxxed and unvaxxed standing together. That was the message that really resonated with me. That's the one I would have liked to have seen on there. But, you know, someone else put it on there, and they did it in order to be able to get these kind of shots. That's my sense of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, conspiracy theorist.
Wellingtonian just came, and he was drawn to just look out for us. He would say, well, what do you need? Then he'd come back the next day with all these battery packs or with games for the children.
There's Muchakunda in the background there with the cheese cutter hat on. Krishnendu. This makes this February the 16th.
Yeah.
I can tell what day it is because we have photos, and I know Krishnendu came 2 days. One day he wore, or maybe 3 days. And this was the first day. So either the 15th or the 16th.
Mm.
Or everything, really.
Lady
You know, he
Kirtan.
said,
There's Krishnendu's son Jainatai behind him over his left shoulder. And then there's our son Prahlad over his right shoulder, sitting at the book table. I mean, what great lighting, isn't it? And it's like a perfect shot.
Mm.
You know, and it just captures, like, you can just see the joy. This is not like angry protesters, you know, and it's not even
Looking
that we,
unhappy.
yeah, it's not even that we define ourselves.
Ready to punch you.
Yeah, it's not even that we define ourselves as being against anything. We're for something. That was the thing about it, is everyone who was there was for something, not just here because we were against something, although it was that unity, solidarity in adversity that brought us together.
Yeah. That's so powerful. I think the thing here, people, they came together where they recognized the pain they were feeling, the fear they were feeling, the loneliness, the distress, and everything. And they didn't feel themselves alone. They weren't alone. They were like all of these people in the different groups, different backgrounds, culture, religion, whatever. They were right there with the same situation. So they feel that it's cohesive, symbiotic relationship. And you could not tell anyone, oh, you haven't got, the jobs or anything. They were just like, thank you for being here. That appreciation, the mutual appreciation for each other.
Because it didn't matter anything about that. They could have taken the jab, not taken the jab. The thing about it was that you knew that they were either a government operative and were being paid to be there, or, and even then we didn't care. It's like they'd crossed over something to be there, and they were there because they were committed to something.
Yeah.
And they were standing for something. And so you just immediately, you were in a different realm together. And one of the things that I noticed, because I came back from Australia in 2020 for this whole thing. And I've been out of New Zealand since 2001, beginning of 2001. So I've been away for like close to 20 years. And what I noticed was the demographic makeup of the country had shifted significantly in such a way that you saw so much ethnic diversity that I was like, I understand what's happening here. It makes it very difficult for people to organize because they don't know or understand or trust their neighbors. They don't speak the same. You don't speak the same language. You don't understand the culture or anything. You have no idea of what that person's thinking or anything.
Yeah.
And so what happened here was there was just an immediate high level of trust between everyone. Like, hey, you know, we're all on the same page. We're all here, you know, and there were differences still. You know, there were like groups of the people, hardcore Christians and Hare Krishnas. And it was like, wow, what happens when you put these two groups in close proximity to each other, you know? How can they coexist in this society? And we did. Yeah. And we had a lot of respect for each other because for nothing else, you know, for every single person there, I was like, thank you for being here. You know, I've got your back and I know you've got mine.
Yeah. It was so special. And the only people could tell their experience about how special it was is for the people that were there.
Yeah. You had to be there.
You have to be there.
But the next best thing to being there is watching the movie.
Could be.
Said how it made a big transformation in his life. The people there were just an extraordinary mix of New Zealanders. We were so different from each other.
Yeah, I mean, even look at this shot here. Look at these two guys. You know, in some ways, they're so much the same. They're both male. They, you know, this guy's got tattoos on his arm here. You can see they're not so different at all, actually. This guy has a full face moko, facial tattoo. Yeah, you got like a whole lot of different people.
And yet we had this common purpose. And we were united in that in a way that it's very hard to feel that sort of unity in regular daily life.
But on top of that, people, look at the environment. The environment that we have created here. An environment of aroha. Somebody say aroha. Do you know what aroha means? It means love. We've created that environment here. On top of that, we've created an environment of whakawhanaungatanga. Whakawhanaungatanga means supporting one another, despite your differences, your belief or your culture. Then on top of that, manakitanga. Somebody say manakitanga. Manakitanga means we are all the same. We can work together in unity.
And that whole section there for like good solid, like 2 to 3 minutes has got the Maha Mantra as the backing soundtrack, which really was the soundtrack of the ProFest festival. You know, we wanted to create it as that.
It was right in the middle as well. You know, between all of the, what do you call this one? The garden, right in the middle. And you can hear, you know, the vibration going to both sides. And the people that were coming from the middle were just like, what? They could not like ignore any of that. And they could see, you know, we were just like not openly preaching, you know, this and that. We're just like singing, prashad and distribution and just singing. So there is nothing they can say about them, you know. They are political or they are favoring this or they're favoring that. They could not see anything because all the devotees were doing is just service. And that's the impact in people's mind, you know. People can like, oh, I remember the Hare Krishnas. I remember the food. I remember this, I remember that. I remember still like, you know, the music and my ears and my dreams, the music and that beautiful experience people had.
It's very difficult to describe it. You know, like we've got Garuda Das coming on the podcast in next weekend. And I mean, where I'm going to start with him is like, I don't mind if people disagree with me. But the thing that really gets me is when people don't understand me. You know, that it's like, it's one thing to disagree with me, but if you don't understand me and then you disagree with that, it has nothing to do with me. You know, and like being there, it really required, it was like a very, very, very advanced environment to operate in. Like people like, oh, devotees, political. You could not survive in that environment if you went in there and you had, you know, an intersection of like religious belief and political thing. And, you know, and then you tried to assert any of those kind of things in the intersection. It just it wouldn't go very well. Everything, that place would have turned into what they claimed that it was, some crazy, you know, dangerous, but it wasn't like that at all.
No. No.
Yeah,
not
we
at
just,
all.
we just had to dive into the essence of, as you say, service to the holy name,
Yeah.
service to the jiva, to the people.
Yeah, and that is the power of this, because like, we're not coming here to tell you and shuffle you down your throat. This is, you have to believe Krishna is the God and erase all of your cultural beliefs or your beliefs of God. We went in for that. We were like, we here, everyone is suffering. This is the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, and we're here to do this. And it required this level of humbleness.
That's another thing, actually, that Vedavati wanted to put a big picture of Srila Prabhupada in the temple. And I was kind of like, people will think this is like kind of cultish, because, one of these things is like you develop and you can even be trained in having preconceptions about what people will think, and then you interact with those.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to like continually give those kind of things up in there over and over again. It's the most advanced course in Krishna consciousness I've ever taken. So we put the picture there because I've taken on saying yes to everything. And one thing I noticed was that as people went past, Maori people looked at it, and I shared in the earlier podcast that when the children started leading the kirtan, their parents all came because they were there because of their love and their commitment and their concern for their children.
Yeah.
What happened when we put the picture of Prabhupada there is I saw it by looking at them, not thinking about what I thought they would think of it, but actually looking at them and looking at them, looking at the picture, and they went past, and what happened for them was that they looked at us and they said, these people respect their elders. That's what they saw when they saw that.
Yeah.
And then I immediately remembered, because my father comes from Samoa. So my father's side of the family are Polynesian. And so you'll go into the house there and there'll be the picture of the elders there with like a lei, like a flower garland around it. And so, when the people went past and they saw that, and Srila Prabhupada looks like he could be Māori. He's a brown-skinned, older gentleman, and they were like, hey, wow.
Yeah. That is the other thing, about the Maori culture. Not only about Maori culture, but every culture. But mostly for Maori, because the Maori culture is the respect to the elders. Okay, the respect to your elders.
Yeah.
And having Srila Prabhupada is not only for the respect for our spiritual master, the savior of this world. It is we have to put it into attention who is he and who represents in this world. And our loyalty to that. We're doing the service, this is our master that instructed us. We're following what our master tell us, and it's basically makes sense to them, because in the Maori culture, it's like, the message has to come from them. You have to respect them. That's the lineage. Yeah, you have to respect them, your elders, your ancestors. That respect, and they will align with that. Because not only because Srila Prabhupada is elder, it is because he has bring the message to this world for to change, to transform into a better world. And the potency of it for the children. Yeah, the children. Oh my God.
Children and the elders.
I felt so in love with them, because they were so like, I want to lead the kirtan. I want to be there. And they were doing that. And parents were just coming like, I know my children are safe.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd stay there for hours.
Yeah.
Parents wouldn't be worried about them at all.
No.
Let's scan forward to this part here. So this was at 3:45 in the morning.
We went unlocked. Okay.
Yeah. Shortly after the cyclone. Now I remember, because I have a video of this of the very next day after this happened, so I can tell you exactly what happened. Savika and I went to sleep at 1:30 in the morning, and then I woke up. I was freezing cold, so I grabbed a hat and put it on my head. We're sleeping outside in the tent, in my sleeping bag, and it wasn't a particularly warm sleeping bag that I have. And and they had a blanket on top of that, luckily. And then at 3:45, people came running through the camp yelling, "Hold the line, hold the line." And we got up and went to the front lines. Savika went down to where this happened. And so the kirtan that you're going to hear here, this has been.
What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? I couldn't comprehend what I was looking at. I couldn't understand what I was looking at. I couldn't relate to what I was looking at.
3:45 in the morning. In the center of the village, so there were kind of two experiences. There was the center of the village, and then this would happen on the edges of the village, usually early in the morning. So you had these two different experiences going on.
Oh, look at the golden man.
That's Alan, isn't it? Sue Grady's partner.
Is that it?
Look like him.
What are they doing to the poor old man?
I don't know. They look like extras on Shorten Street to me, honey. It looks, easily staged. Like, okay, you guys hold the fire on one side. Reality TV. Doing the best we can. We're all, it's all live improvisation.
This is not like the thing that happens like in France. In France, the people are just like rajasic.
Yeah.
They're very rajasic, like quite similar to the Latin Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They
like
go
nah.
nuts over there.
And if that would happen here in New Zealand, I don't think Jacinta will survive.
I've been in those things in Latin America, in Ecuador and Peru. And so I was like waiting for it here. I was like, hey, I know where this goes. And this ends up with me and a pink dhoti in front of a cloud of tear gas playing the mridanga, because I've been through it in South America, done it over there. Been through I wasn't in Venezuela when it happened, but I was there when the 2002 coup against Chavez happened. There was a 2002 uprising in Ecuador because of the collapse of the banana prices. There's always stuff going on in Peru. And so this, to me, I was like, I know how to do this because I've been through like firing, like live firing, tear gas, everything, and just chanting, and experience how protected the chanting is. Creates like a bubble, a transcendental realm.
Yeah.
That's what we brought to the experience of the protesters here. So 3:45 in the morning. So they put the big concrete bollards down to stop cars from getting in. And they basically said, no one else gets in. This is the crew we're going with. Here they are putting the bollards in place.
I wonder how many police were there, but if all of were like with the spirit of the South Americans being very like in a mode of passion, especially the youngsters.
Well, you see, then you wouldn't get a movie like this. And the goal was for the movie to come out with the kirtan in it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But it's just like what I'm explaining.
Yeah.
What I can see that these people were in more and more of goodness. We don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
We don't want to fight you. We don't want to argue. We just want to be heard. We just want to have a discussion and come to this is what having an open communication, transparent communication. But obviously this was very tailored to suppress and the tyranny to go ahead.
Yeah, so we understood that, and we knew that if we did anything like, some crazy this, that, or the other thing, that it was just going to play into the narrative that they wanted. And we're like, this is a longer game and it's a propaganda war. Preaching propaganda is the essence. We want to get the chanting of the holy name out as much as possible. So we just spread the chanting of the holy name over the whole thing. And we were like, this is a war of perception and it's a war of propaganda. And we want the holy name and the chanting to be infusing everything. because it's the active principle of the medicine, you know, and if it goes in, it will act.
Obviously, yeah, that is the most impactful thing to have the Hare Krishna, because in this world, you know, what I'm saying is these people are like these people that are in uniform.
Mhm.
They have parents, they have family.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
they're humans. Inside, they may be dying, or inside, they may be feeling like, oh, these people, you know, whatever their mental situation they were. And in the other side, we have these people like, we just want to be heard. You know, we don't want to be coerced. We don't want to do that. And the holy name is, there's two different worlds. In their own world, they were feeling this kind of like a lost, being misled, dismissed. There was a lot of pain in two worlds. You know, these people, the police with their garments, and the people, you know, there was pain there. And the holy name, it was the perfect place to be in, because we just transmitting love in that way.
Yeah.
Love. We don't want to do it any of those. This is not the place we want to be in. However, the holy name is in every place, anytime, anywhere.
And they will, and also we were very conscious that these people will join us, and we need them to join us in the future. So, you know, it was like,
Well, obviously we want them to be, you know, God, they're, you know, children of God.
yeah, eventually they're going to have to bring in robots and foreign troops to try and do the full pacification. That's when everyone who is at ProFest on either side will be together in the future.
It's not like everyone's running at the police.
It's a long
No one's
game.
armed.
It's a long
Where is
game.
the state of emergency? The only
So you
emergency
can hear it in the background.
is
Hear it?
Jacinda's lack of compassion for her own people.
It's on
What
the
do you think
background.
they're actually doing, Sue?
Go forward a bit.
It's okay. You're simply stopping extra cars coming in. They have been asking
Here.
for a long time for cars to allow access. They are simply stopping extra. It's the fault of the people in Parliament, because they refuse.
There was that environment. There wasn't a willingness from them to engage with us and help us.
They refuse to come down and talk, and they call us names, and they call us scum, and they call us a river of filth, and they call us neo-Nazis. But because the police have made no leeway, they have said we have to block the entrances to stop all cars coming in. So you can still leave if you want,
That's
but you will not be able to bring more cars
absolutely
in
unnecessary to
because
this
they need
peaceful
the
people.
roads. And conflict is a result of them not doing the job. It's not the police's fault. It's not everyone else's fault. It's their fault because they won't come down and actually talk. And all they're paid to do is talk to us, aren't they? All they're paid to do is represent you and I, and they refuse to come down and have a decent conversation. I can't.
I know some people have.
You know what? I don't even know if that was the actual kirtan that was there at the time, or if they've taken the kirtan from somewhere else and put it in there.
I think you guys were doing the kirtan everywhere.
Oh, we were doing the kirtan there 100%, but I think it might have been done this way that, you know, if you were there when that happened, you know that there was a Hare Krishna kirtan going on there. And then they may have just been like, okay, drop this Hare Krishna kirtan soundtrack in the background low like this, and then get the sound mix levels right. But, you know, this was created by someone running through the camp yelling, hold the line, hold the line. Now, maybe they thought the police were going to do an incursion at that point. But here, people like Talat and Baker, you knew this was happening. Why didn't you tell us? Because what had happened was the police had showed up in force like this, and people thought they're coming to roll us out. Everybody get on the line and push them back. So the protesters ran down there and started pushing the police back like that, and they just wanted to drop these concrete things. If we'd known that, we would have just been like, whatever. You know? But there were lots of things like that that were done, I say, to generate this kind of footage for the outside story. Yeah.
Lovely stories to tell about the police,
It's all a
but for
propaganda
me,
war.
there wasn't a willingness from them to engage with us and help us come out the other side of this. But I came across a completely different police officer in that environment. There wasn't a willingness from them to engage with us and help us come out the other side of
They
this.
grabbed me onto
They've
each
got a
other's
job
belt.
to do, and it's not to talk to you. And it was mind games. It was wake everybody up at 3 a.m.
See, I mean, it's not disrupting people's lives.
It's a pure lie.
outside the see, look, we did not go beyond their boundary. Look, they're right across the road. As you're coming in this way where they're crossing, you could see this block that Muchakunda had painted. I don't know if we're going to get to see it. No. See, even in these shots, they're not showing you what it looked like. I did some walkthrough videos that show it.
Yeah.
But look, their life is carrying on like normal.
Actually, they have a little bit more flavor in their life.
It's more interesting, yeah.
Yeah, because, people just goes to work there like a zombie.
Remember this? I had a photo of this. I showed it, when civil disobedience becomes a duty, when the state becomes lawless.
Kaitiaki of the peace.
There's the entrance there.
And all the lies they were saying, these people are dangerous, these people are this, these people are that.
Alcohol-free, drug-free, kids-friendly, respect all, stand strong, spread love, be free.
How dangerous is that?
And then as soon as you walk in, there's the Hare Krishnas chanting Hare Krishna right there. Yeah.
Well, obviously for people it's dangerous because they don't have that sense of like unity,
Of love. I come here humbly to help us come together. The unity and love and the frequency that we want to set for the day. We have an amazing opportunity here to step into the frequency of love and togetherness, what we're really creating here. The opportunity that we have in this space is to create the world that we want to see going forward. Breathe in Aroha. Breathe in community. Exhale exclusion. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Om Jnanatirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya.
That's me. I did that. They asked me to do the Katakia that day, or one day later. And so I did the Katakia and I did the entire invocation from the Bhagavad Gita. Om Jnanatirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam, like all the way through. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Parakamalam, all the way to the end. And then I gave my Bhavanuvad English translation. The name of the Lord is a strong and mighty tower. These are from Christian hymns, actually. The righteous run into the name of the Lord. From the rising of the sun to the going down, the name of the Lord is to be praised. Hare Krishna. That was all the preaching that I had to do. That's all I had to say,
People were so receptive. So receptive.
Oh, just incredible,
Open-hearted.
Yeah. And then listen to what Machu Tahuki says about it right here.
It's beautiful that we can start our day with different karakia from different faiths and beliefs. So I just want to acknowledge how far we've come with all of our different religions and beliefs and stories and groups that we're representing, and here we are.
So, another thing about it was that they coalesced it by causing those things, by locking us all in there and forcing us. And they created this council and they invited the different representatives to participate in it, and I was there as part of that. And so every day at 10 o'clock, I would go to this council of elders meeting and participate in that.
Council of elders.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Council of elders.
My elder.
What do they call it? It's called a Kaumatua. Kaumatua.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. It's lost the place.
And I get that. What we do is we just avoid getting arrested.
No, Matt
They'll
King.
eventually probably start encircling us. There's probably undercovers amongst you there. Don't worry about it.
Check it
what
out.
I'm saying
It's
here
terrific.
is
This is
they're
great.
just doing their job and they're using their tactics. We don't want to fight them. We've made our point. And I'm not saying go
This
home.
guy
I'm
was
just
right to say
saying we
there's
have won this already.
us.
Yeah, and don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there were people from the New Zealand Defence Force in there, came in and talked to us in that tribal council of elders thing. it's like it was a weird environment because it was at the same time it was organized by the government. It's inconceivable. It was simultaneously a protest against the government and organized by the government apparatus. Yeah. You know, like in intelligence operations later on, you find out about how both sides, you know, one side was being sponsored by the Pentagon and the other side's being sponsored by the CIA, and these two groups are fighting against each other. So they're both, you know, there's some civil war happening in a country, and then they find out that later on that all sides of it were being sponsored by different branches of the American apparatus. Yeah. And it's being done in order to create a particular political outcome in that country. You know, the goal is not to defeat one side or the other, but to use the clash between the two sides to shape the destiny there. And that's what this was, in my estimation. But, you know, whatever it is, and there's more or less sophisticated conspiracy kind of analyses, it was just the future of this country. And
Well,
it includes Hare Krishna.
Obviously, there has to be some sort of like undercovers there, just to investigate, like if everything is dangerous and people are like, you know,
yeah, if they're like assembling shoulder-mounted, you know, missiles or
of
something.
course they
like
have to be doing that. And guess what? Amongst the people that are completely innocent, people that are, you know, non-violent. You bring all of these people together, non-violent people, they just want their rights to be, you know, respected. And then you just put like these undercover people to see if there's any naughty ones there. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, of course.
seriously.
Without a doubt. Those Hare Krishnas are watching. Hare Krishna. Thanks for the shout out.
If I ever thought of a reason.
Trade there. Where's the news reporting on when things haven't gone right from
They
the
were
police side?
brutal. The police
Why
was
is that being
brutal with people.
This whole section here after this is why this is not on YouTube. You just heard what we're talking about. Here's the thing about the final day. Where is that shot? There's a shot of me playing Radunga in here somewhere.
We just
Do you remember where that was?
Almost at the end. After this.
So what's happened to you in the past? There was a bit of a
Well, there's the press conference.
This is some great news. This is some great news. Some of you will know and you'll be aware that the Defence Force and the police have been
is completely wrong.
The police
You might temporarily silence us, but I'm telling you now, the New Zealand public that are in favour of these protests are much greater in number
including
than
our
you.
presence there.
And
We
if
are
you
Lord Vishnu's psychological operation on the planet. So,
A lot of people though, a lot of people, the mistakes people.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, so this guy here, I've forgotten his name, but there was Mikey, and then there was this guy, Scotty. Sorry, brother, I've forgotten your name. Look at him putting himself on the line here. He came down to the temple after this and he was crying. Yeah, I was like, dude, he was just crying, traumatized.
Yeah, of course, it's traumatic.
Look, a lot of people found their identity here. They found their community. They found their value, their worth. They hadn't been able to work. And then they came here and they suddenly became valuable contributing members of a society. And of a community. And then these people came through and smashed it all. They were smashing not only these tents, they were smashing these people's sense of belonging, their sense of identity.
Yeah, totally.
It was traumatic, very traumatic for them. While this is happening here, Cam is right back here, and then we're just slightly behind him here doing the kirtan. And you can hear it. You'll hear the wampus here. Cam playing the wampus.
Oh, Krishna.
You know,
two classes of people.
this gentleman here from the security, he sees his job as being two-sided. I know because, like Prahlad said, he did security on the last night. I did security. These guys would come after their security shifts to the Hare Krishna temple and do kirtan after their shifts. And they saw their role as twofold, protecting the professed community from the police and stopping the people in our community from
Breaking havoc.
From blowing the whole thing up. And so this guy's caught a sandwich in the middle. He's trying to protect this guy from the police, and he's trying to protect the police from this guy at the same time. Watch him.
So
Courageous. Absolutely courageous. Look, he's like, hey man. He's like, bro. Someone's holding on to him there. See, look. He's like, hey.
protecting their citizens.
We believe in our freedom. We believe in our rights. We believe in our people.
Krishna.
We stand for.
Yeah, I can hear
the wampus.
Look at that, so vicious. They were so vicious.
Yeah.
So vicious. They're horrible. The police were so horrible.
So the thing about this is that, you saw how they cut between different camera angles, right? So the audio is not from these cameras. The audio is something else. But the thing about it is that, and the movie has been so well crafted because you saw in the videos that I showed in the podcast that we were right there while that was happening. And Cam is right there playing the Wampus. So the people who have made this film have accurately captured the sonic soundscape of these places that shows that the devotees were right there at the front lines. Even though you don't see them, you can hear them. Their presence is felt, palpably felt by the community, because that's what we were there for. We were just like right behind that.
You guys needed to sing the Narashinka prayers there.
No,
right
we just stayed always on the Maha Mantra. That's our thing. Just always the Maha Mantra, one melody.
They're so vicious. This is not the police that protects people. You see, this is the police that is protecting this.
This is when Prahlad woke up and discovered the police were like literally meters away from the temple, because here they're meters away from the temple.
Okay.
Man, what?
Get down.
They're so vicious.
This officer needs to be arrested. There's 10,000 people watching you. Officers, calm down. Officers, calm down.
Very traumatic for people there,
Yeah.
The contrast between and seeing it just being like stomped like this. But I mean, this community has metastasized over the entire country now. Everybody's gone back, and the thing is, we remember this.
Yeah.
And we know this is possible. And yeah.
People are more outraged now. Way more outraged.
Yeah, it's not going to be possible for them to do this again. Especially not with these kind of propaganda assets being created about it, right? Let's skip ahead and see if we can find part of me playing Mridanga. Where was it? I mean, this is all the destruction of everything, but I think it was in like a summary kind of thing that talks about how great it was, right?
I can see why the government wanted to destroy it. It would have been quite threatening to them.
It is. It's in this
There was
section.
a village. There was roads.
Yeah.
There was medic tents. There was sound tents. There was places to go and get clothing.
Right next to the temple.
There was food tents. And then for the next 3 weeks, everyone lived together, all different races, all different walks of life, all different classes. Yeah, all the desperation was gone. Doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from. You're the same. And to be part of that is so amazing. To see that New Zealand can be that way. To see that Kiwis can band together when they really, really need to.
That's so true.
Love from the Czech Republic down the bottom there.
We know democracy isn't about prime ministers dividing people. And we know an MP's job is not to incite hatred. Nor is it the media's job to gaslight us or the police's job to attack us. And we know there is no single source of truth, and democracy and freedom of speech is not about silencing speech. It's about allowing all voices to be heard.
Such courage.
But maybe this wasn't about any of that.
Courageous.
Maybe it was never about a virus and mandates and
Real
passports
warriors.
and locking people out. Maybe this was about change.
No, this one's.
And maybe it's actually them that's fighting to keep
That
their
should be
positions of control and power in an age when information and truth is the property of us all. And maybe they're losing. So perhaps when we turned our backs, we were actually turning them on the gaslighting and the corruption and the division. And maybe from this rubble, we walked away and began building a new way, one that values truth and community and freedom of speech. And maybe one day they'll realize we're gone and they'll come and join us.
It's the end.
Maybe that's what we came here for.
Wow. That's what that street looks like.
Yeah.
There's the entrance there where the temple was. Is that what we're looking at?
I
No?
think yes. I think no.
Which
It's more, it's more here.
Where?
More down here. Around there. Sorry, can you give me this one?
Oh, yeah,
Around
okay.
here.
Oh,
Around
that's
here,
the
around
top
here.
gate up there.
That's the top gate, and that one's the street that goes the Hill
That's Hill
Street.
Street.
Yeah, and here is the new wall around here.
Yeah, and that's Kate
And then-
Shepherd's place
and the
there.
library is around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the entrance is like right there.
around here, around here.
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Yeah, or maybe right there.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I lived there for 3 weeks, but it looked nothing like that. It was completely chocker with, there was a tent right
When we
in the
got to
middle.
Wellington, I think we already went back to Wellington to do more Harinam there.
We did. We hurry-named back to the
Yeah.
back to here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where that shot is of me then playing mridanga. Oh well.
It's all right. People will watch it.
Yeah, I know. I'll find it sometime. Yeah, so that's the movie. You know, it features the devotees. There's another movie coming out, River of Freedom, and that one comes out in August. And we're going to have Jordan Ranson, one of the filmmakers of River of Freedom, come on the Vaishnava Voices podcast and talk about it. Yeah, that's going to be at the beginning of August. He's going to come on, and the movie's coming out in late August. And we should find out definitely ahead of time and go to a premiere wherever it's previewing. If they bring it to New Plymouth here, if they do it in Wellington, go down there.
Okay. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take you out to the movies
Wellington.
on a date. That movie will be
5 hours drive or 6 hours drive. Like, oh.
I'll chain it together with some other things, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Go and do whatever else we need to do in Wellington.
Okay.
Again, thanks for tuning in. You can watch the whole movie at
Rumble.
Yeah, it's on Rumble. I'll post the link to the movie in here. I put a link in the description. But here is the direct link to the movie on Rumble where you can watch it. That's it right there. We came here for freedom, part 2. Just a really beautiful, very emotional experience for us. Me at least.
Yeah. I wasn't in the part of the aggression and violence. I was more in the part of like a joy and service and kirtan.
Yeah, in the kirtan tent.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. No more violence for me. I already have plenty of those, so no Krishna.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Keep leaving your comments. Thanks for the encouragement. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.